This has been from Baker Rangers, and I'm partnering with Zeo to Hero podcast to bring you awesome and amazing content. So look out for that on the Baker Rangers YouTube page and zeotohero.com. Hi, welcome to Baker Rangers. This is our first movie talk. We're going to start this new series where we just talk about movies. And today I am here with the one, the only, on TikTok. He's known as the cinematic TikTok or cinematic King Baller. He's a great movie analyst there. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Blarney, Blarson, and Billy. Happy to be here, Ben.
Well, thank you. So we didn't say it at the same time. So I saw the Batman. Yes, well, we both saw it yesterday. I've seen it twice. I wanted to get a good shake, so I can give it a good review. You've seen it once, and we have differing opinions
Yeah, we had different
on
opinions for sure.
on the movie. So let me know how. Just explain how you enjoy the movie, and then
I
we'll.
thought I thought the movie was a really great crime movie with Riddler being such a horrific villain throughout the full runtime. I thought Robert Pattinson's portrayal on Batman was a very darker, creamy Batman that I really enjoyed inside this movie, and I loved the cinematography. I thought the movie was very beautifully shot throughout the full runtime, and the score mixed with the beautiful shots in the movie worked really well and gave me chills throughout the full runtime of the movie. And I have an absolute blast checking out the Batman.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I did not have the same um experience. I felt like the first two, because it's 3 hour long movie. It's 3 hours long. So I felt like the first 2 hours just kind of dragged and didn't really go anywhere. And then but the last hour, that's where like everything happened. That's when the story kind of finally picked up and then it started moving quicker. But for the first 2 hours, I understand that they were just kind of going with the like a film noir style detective movie, but I just kind of felt like it was too slow. But after seeing it the second time, it wasn't as slow, but I already knew what was going on, so it was a better experience for me. I did think the cinematography was great. Um, the acting was uh, well, the acting was good. I did feel like a lot of the characters were just whispering throughout the whole movie. But I that was just the style that they were going with. But Zoe Kravitz was great as Selena Kyle,
Yeah, Sorry Krause
uh,
killed it.
and her portrayal it is different than the other Selena Kyles that we've had in the future or in the past, not in the future. It will be different than the ones we have in the future. But um, I thought Commissioner Gordon, which was Jeffrey Wright, made was a great choice for that role. Um, Uh, I loved him in Westworld. He was great in that. I love Well, the first 2 seasons of Westworld, 3rd season, not so much. Um, but the score was decent throughout. I don't care for the main theme, by itself because it just feels like you're waiting for it to get into, the Star Wars song, um, I just forgot what that was called. It was the most popular one, where it's dun, dun but anywho. You're waiting for it to come into that and just keeps going, 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 going with the same 3 notes over and over and over. But in the movie, you don't hear it that way because it kind of builds
The
up
movie it
more.
works, but by itself it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. But anywho, but you feel differently than I do on the pacing of the movie, because you enjoy those detective,
Yeah, yeah.
film noir movies.
Yes, I was just really invested, just glued my eyes to the screen, trying to figure out these riddles for myself during the movie because they were very like interesting to me. And I just like the way Robert Pattinson's Batman was a detective and was clearly the smartest person in the room. And that was a great element to the Batman character that we haven't seen before, to the point of him being a very great detective. Now, in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, you see Christian Bale do little detective stuff here and there, but it's not a lot to be on the world's greatest detective versus Robert Pattinson's Batman being the main focus of him using his detective skills to solve these riddles and solve these crime scenes.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest difference because I love the to me the Christopher Nolan trilogy is the best Batman trilogy. I Dark Knight is probably the best Batman movie, if not one of the best comic book movies um, to me. But yeah, to your point, Christian Bale, he did a lot of his detective work in the Batcave, um, whereas the Robert Pattinson, he was on scene with the detectives, even though the police didn't want him there. It was just Gordon, just um, but their chemistry together,
Yeah, their
you know,
chemistry
work
is perfect.
yeah, working on these cases, you kind of feel like they're a team. So it does a good job there. Um, I felt like it didn't show enough of that, though. I feel like some of the detective work on Batman's part was too quick and didn't allow for us to kind of figure it out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Even though again, the movie is 3 hours long, but it seems like some of the detective stuff just were figured out too quick, in my opinion. Um, which was also a thing that I didn't like about Death on the Nile because there was nothing for the most part on that one, nothing to even
Oh,
figure out for most of
I
that
haven't seen it
movie's
yet.
runtime. Yeah. Well, when you do it's like this for me where it was the first 2 acts were kind of boring and nothing's really going on. Like nothing really happens till that third act, and that third act is really what makes the movie. Same thing here, which is also my thing with Spider-Man, No Way Home. The first 2 acts of the movie were okay. It was the last act that really made that movie.
Yeah,
Which is what you want. You want a movie to kinda end the way it needs to be, because you can have an awesome, like, Stephen King type movie where the whole movie is really interesting, and then you might get to the end, and you're like, "Well, the ending kinda ruined the movie." When
yeah.
it's like Batman or Spider-Man, it's that 3rd act really makes the movie. So going talking about some of the characters in there, Andy Serkis, who's Golem in, in the Lord of the Rings movies. He's, King Kong in Peter
No, not
Jackson's
King
King
Kong.
Kong. Well, in the
The
King Kong and Peter Jackson's King Kong movie, he was King
oh,
Kong.
okay, that one. Yeah.
He was Caesar in, who was also Matt Reeves, movies, did Matt Reeves do all the
He did the last two, not the first one.
okay. Well, I think they're all the Planet of the Apes movies are great.
Yeah.
Um, but and Andy Serkis directed Venom 2, which is not a great movie. So I don't know if that's an indictment on his directing style, but uh, yeah. What do you think of his portrayal of Alfred? Because it was also kind of different. It was reminiscent of the Bat flick, Jeremy Irons. For me, it was similar. It was kind of like in that same vein.
I felt like he was like the cooler, swagger Alfred that we haven't really seen that much, but we barely saw him in the movie, so I couldn't really give him a full like review on how much I liked the character because he was barely in the movie. But when he was in the movie, he did have great chemistry with Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. Just I just wish we saw more Alfred in there because I think Anderson gives did a solid job as a character, as having a different portrayal on the character of Alfred Pennyworth. But I wish we just saw more of the character inside the Batman.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and I think most of that comes to the fact that Batman was mostly on scene at most of the movie, and there wasn't a whole lot of Batcave in this movie, so that's where Alfred really gets his time to shine when it comes to Batman. So you didn't really get a lot of that, but yeah, I like the way he did it. He did have like one good touching scene that we're not going to talk about now, Just let you guys know we're gonna do non-spoiler right now. I should have said that right at the beginning, but we are gonna go into spoiler territory in the second half. So we'll let you know when we start getting to that territory, so you don't have to worry about when to shut it off if you haven't seen it. So more pre-spoiler warning, but no spoilers at this moment. Um, so what about the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman? Um,
I think their chemistry was the second best part of the movie behind Robert Pattinson's chemistry with Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon. I think Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson just work extremely well together, especially when they first meet each other inside the movie. And their chemistry is fantastic, in my opinion. And Zoe Kravitz just really killed every scene she was in inside the Batman movie. And I can't wait to see the character more in the future.
yeah, yeah, I like their chemistry. I I also felt like we didn't get enough of it too. We didn't
Yeah,
get
me too.
enough
Yeah.
development of it. Just because there is kind of a lot that goes on this movie. It's a full it's a fully packed movie where you need like almost every minute of the runtime to tell the story outside of one scene, which we'll talk in the spoiler one that I felt like should have been the post credit scene rather than a scene in the movie. Um, I don't know if you can figure out what that one is, but I like the way Zoe Kravitz portrayed Selena Kyle,
Yeah.
and her chemistry with Batman, and it's yeah, it was probably one of the more highlights of the movie. Um, so going on from that to the Penguin, what were your thoughts on the Penguin, who was played by Colin Farrell, which you would not even know that
All
Colin
right, first of
Farrell.
all, the prosthetics on the penguin are fantastic. The makeup work they did with Colin Farrell to make it look unrecognizable, and his voice was very interesting as the penguin. And I think he was like a very hilarious villain inside this movie. Again, we didn't really see a lot of penguin inside this movie. It was a side villain. The main focus was on the Riddler, but overall, I think Colin Farrell did a great job as a penguin. They made him a very great like monster character inside this movie.
Yeah, I thought even though to me he didn't feel like the Penguin. I know the Penguin's like a mob boss type character, but I don't know, maybe it's just because he's too tall in my opinion, because I feel like the Penguin should be short because he's a penguin. Um, but well, he's not a penguin, he's a human being, but you know what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, you cannot tell that it was Colin Farrell at all, even from the voice. Like he really, really worked the character to play like a great. Well, he wasn't really technically a mob boss because, again, like you said, he didn't have as much time in it because he was like a side. He wasn't a side. He was just. I don't know if we'll go into spoiler territory if we say anything more, um, but I yeah, I thought he was great. Um, and I'm hoping to see more of them in future movies, which I'm pretty sure we will. They set up a slightly bigger world for Batman, but not as grandiose, I guess, as you can say with the Burton and Schumacher Batmans.
Yeah.
Um, but and not not as grounded, I guess you could say. Well, it's grounded, but I feel like the Dark Knight movies were a little more grounded than this one because this one's kind of like it's trying to take that feel of the Tim Burton Batmans, but ground it into a bigger or a different reality. That makes sense. But um, but yeah, I'm hoping to see more of him, and the Riddler, played by Paul Dano. I don't know if I've seen any of the movies that he's been in, or I've seen him. Um, but his iteration of the Riddler is probably nothing that we thought we would see in the Riddler. So what were your opinions on that?
Oh man, I literally got scared from some scenes by Paul Daniels' Riddler because he was such a creepy, horrific villain, especially with the mask he wears, especially the traps you see him set up for his victims inside this movie. Just really remind me of the Saw franchise, which was really interesting to see a Saw type traps inside a Batman movie, and I think he was a fantastic villain as the Riddler, and a really great first villain for Robert Pattinson's universe inside the Batman movie. And I think he killed this Riddler.
Yeah, because it was so different from of course it's not Jim Carrey as the Riddler, um, but it was yeah it was more like scary, gruesome. Um, Jigs. Yeah, he's not exactly a jigsaw killer, but in a sense there's some similarities
Yeah, that's what I mean.
between no you said it great, but
Yeah.
because that's what I thought watching the movie. I probably would have liked to see more of that side, um, because I feel like we did. I know. I guess that's a theme for me. I didn't see enough of this. I didn't see enough of that. The movie's 3.5, 3 hours long,
I
and
think
I'm
that's
time
mainly
talking.
because that was PG-13. If it was R-rated,
That
they
makes
could have went
sense.
all in with the
Oh yeah,
Riddler.
yeah.
Yeah.
I,
I
I,
feel
I,
like
I
they hold back some of the scenes because of the PG-13
yeah.
rating.
Which you need this movie to be PG-13 because you're gonna have a really broad audience. It is Batman, so it's not Deadpool or anything like that where you can go into that kind of territory. Though they did with Logan, but it wasn't X-Men, it was Logan. So
Yeah.
um, but a rated R version of this would be interesting. I'm wondering if, maybe they are gonna have one, maybe for, you know, I don't know. I don't know what they shot, what that wasn't in this movie. I'm sure even though it was 3 hours long, that there was a lot, that they made for this movie. Um, but with the Riddler being different, from the Riddler side, because he's kinda like Batman in a sense, um, where because he's masked in this one rather than in the comics where he's just got the eye mask.
I
Um,
mean, he is kind of
where
like the
that's the
evil Batman.
character. Yeah, yeah, in a sense. Yeah, and when we get to the spoiler territory, we'll probably go deeper into that realm. Um, but one more thing to kind of talk about in the movie um, is the Batmobile. It's different than the Batmobiles we've seen in the future, or in the golly, I keep saying the future, in the past. I'm just living way. I'm living but in pre 2022 right now. But yeah, what do you think of his iteration of the Batmobile?
Man, I find Batmobile really cool. It felt like I don't know, kind of like an old school Mustang style Batmobile with the different style gadgets that he uses with it. I thought it was a really cool Batmobile and did his thing through the full runtime. Um, how about you?
I well, the look of it's different, so like it doesn't to me it doesn't feel or look like the Batmobile. However, it does look like it will be a lot more fun to drive it as Batman. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's got a lot more mobility than probably any of the other Batmobiles. Um, it's not the what was the uh what was the Dark Knight one called? The
Tumblr
Tumbler.
or something?
So
Yeah.
the Tumbler was more like a tank. It was versatile in the sense that his bat cycle can come out from it. Um,
But the
but
Tumblr looks so uncomfortable to sit on though.
oh, well, because you're like laying down like this, and trying to drive like while you're laying down forward. So yeah, it was probably was the more uncomfortable one. This one seems like there's more room in it. Like even the Michael Keaton, those Batmobile, it's a tight space. This one's got two
Yeah.
seats because it's a normal car. So I think the what they can do with the Batmobile in future movies or projects, um, I think can be interesting. Can be interesting. But so what would you give this overall rating for this movie? I know what you told me. So
For me, I think it's a perfect Batman movie. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. But The Dark Knight is better though. Don't get it twisted. But the Batman will get 10 out of 10 for me.
yeah, I probably would give this a 6 out of 10. Just my reasonings, just being that it was slow for the first 2 hours and didn't really pick up to the third act, and I felt like they could have done some things quicker, and some things they could have taken their more of their time doing. So, but to me, a 6 is still a good movie. Just not uh, the best. Again, Dark Knight, and some people don't like Dark Knight. That's fine, but I think most people will agree that Dark Knight might be one of the best superhero movies, not just Batman movies. There was, there is. So I even like Batman Begins. That's probably of my Batman movies. I can't really put a top five in there because I might get a lot of flack for this. Most of the Batman movies I don't care for. Um, Batman Returns was my favorite movie when I was 5. I saw it again when I was a teenager and thought it was one of the worst movies I ever seen. So, it's different now, it's not as bad, but, like, I Batman and Robin, can't really say much about that. Batman Forever was pretty okay. It was just too colorful, for a Batman movie. But Dark Knight is fantastic. Batman Begins is great too. It's one of both of those are probably one of my both in my top 10 comic book movies. Dark Knight Rises is good. I would probably give it, it's a 6 out of 10, just like this. So I would put them like on in the same scale. Um, but that would still be my number three. So the other Batman movies, yeah.
I think if I had to rank them, I did put the Batman Forever, and then the first Michael Keaton Batman movie, and then Batman Begins, and then this recent Batman movie, and then Dark Knight.
Okay. I could see that. I could see that. So, who's your favorite Batman?
My favorite Batman,
Mhm.
Ken Conroy. Does that count? Or has it been live
Yeah,
action?
that counts because but yeah, who's your favorite cinematic live action? Because I know they have had a cartoon movie with Kevin Conroy, but yeah, cinematic live action Batman.
I need to rewatch the Batman. Yes, I did love Robert Pattinson's The Batman. So for now, I'm gonna go with the equally great Michael Keaton and Robert Pattinson for me at the moment. And then once I rewatch the Batman movies, I'll put the rankings up for the Batmans. Um, but right now, I'm just equal on Keaton and Pattinson being my favorites.
Okay, I I would, because Batman and Bruce Wayne, even though it's the same character, they're two completely different characters, and I feel like sometimes an actor can be better as Batman and not as good as Bruce Wayne, and vice versa. And so, my favorite Batman is the Christian Bale. His version of Batman is
I
my
can respect
favorite,
that.
but Bruce Wayne, I would probably go with Michael Keaton as the
Yeah,
best Bruce Wayne. Um, I'd probably say that Robert Pattinson is the my least favorite Bruce Wayne, but he makes a decent Batman. Like his Batman's not bad, but his Bruce Wayne was just kind of dull and boring. But again, that's my opinion. but and it's what they were going for. Matt Reeves. he he wrote this role of Batman for Robert Pattinson. So it was this was intended to be Robert Pattinson as Batman from the beginning. So, um, but overall, I liked it. It was okay. I enjoyed it the second time. First time, I enjoyed the last hour. Second time, I enjoyed majority of the movie. So, um,
Maybe a third watch will love it.
maybe. Well, I might give it a third watch, but it might be a little while. Yeah, it's I do like watching movies a lot more than once. Star Wars, I've seen every single one, even the one I hate, Force Awakens, which I'll be doing another video in this movie talk series about why that is. I've even seen that a lot of times. So um I can watch movies. I've seen the same movie like 4 times in one day before. So though I don't know if I can watch a 3-hour movie 4 times in one day, because that's 12 hours of, of watching one movie just
Yeah.
through 4 times. But so that's that's gonna be the end of our spoiler free side of the review. We're gonna go more into um what we want to see for future villains, future
Yeah.
plots, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to hear anything that's happened in this movie specifically, and you're worried about spoilers, this is where you can turn this off. Um, and or just if you don't care, or if you've seen this movie and you want to hear what we have to say, then here we go. Um, so none of the villains died in this movie.
Carmel
So,
Falcone.
well, yeah, Carmike Falcone.
He got shot
I
by Penguin. Yeah.
that's true. I kind of don't see him as the villain in the movie because he's barely there. You don't even know he's even part of the story until over halfway through it. So, so I
He's
kind of
the rat.
forgot about it. Yeah, yeah. Which is kind of weird that the leader is the rat of, to well, it was a different, I guess, because it was what's the other guy's name? Maroney. So
Maroni.
he ratted out Maroney so he can get a bigger slice of the pie. But we did get a little sliver of the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker played by that guy from Eternals. I just forgot the actor's name,
Oh,
but
I didn't know he was a. Oh, okay. So that's why whenever.
Derwin. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Not a big fan of his Joker laugh, but maybe he'll work on it the next
He
one.
needs to work on the laugh, bro.
Yeah,
If he gets a laugh down, then he
yeah.
could be a solid Joker. No, he's not gonna be comparing to Heath Ledger, Walking Phoenix
Oh
here.
no, no, no.
Maybe he could be better than Jared Leto.
Well, Jared Leto tried too hard to make that different. So, like, I think that's the problem with that. Yeah, because he was like a mix between,
A
um,
SoundCloud rapper, a Joker.
well, that, but I'm like his portrayal just felt like he did try to be Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson and something else all in one. And
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
it was just not it was not my cup of tea. Um, I didn't hate it. It's just not what I wanted in the Joker. But this Joker did feel like kind of out of place because he seemed a little more of a caricature than everything else in this movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I just need to see him as the Joker in a movie
mhm.
before I judge him too much based around like a 2 minute scene that we saw in the end.
Yeah, yeah, and this is the scene that I felt should have been because it was kind of like out of place from everything. That it probably should have been like a mid-credit scene um,
Yeah.
to kind of get people interested right as the movie ended.
I
Uh,
mean, personally didn't want a post credit mid
well,
credit scene in a 3 hour movie. That's
well,
just me.
well, it would have been the same length because that through 2 hours and 56 minutes include the credits.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
true.
So technically the runtime would be the same runtime. Um, but it would just be, you can do it after the introduction of the main cast and then show it, because they or show it right before the credits.
Yeah,
Because I think the place, I understand where they did it because it was from the news view of, which they changed the, the Riddler's last name in this movie. Because isn't it Enigma was his, or was that just for Batman? Um, for
yeah, I
the,
think so. Yeah,
but yeah, so I understand the placement of it, but it still could been like right at the end of the movie and been that last before you got to credits. But ending it on Robert Pattinson's Batman driving in his Bat cycle is a good ending too. But
yeah.
I think it'll be interesting seeing Joker in more.
Catwoman goes their separate ways too.
Yeah, so that kind of for speculation. Um, because with the Marvel route, some of these side characters are getting their own projects. So, it wouldn't be far fetched to think that Catwoman would have her own as well,
I
whether
think
in a
Catwoman series would
movie
be fun.
or a series. Yeah, I think Catwoman series, because I heard that they might be doing like an Arkham series on HBO
Uh,
Max. I don't know if that was from comicbook.com. I don't know if I trust them as a source, but yeah, but a Catwoman series, I think that would be pretty awesome. And if you've set it in HBO Max, you can do a lot more with it.
yeah.
But in a more rated R world, than the Batman. What else would you like to see from future Batman projects that's linked to the Batman?
Firstly, I want to see a great portrayal on Mr. Freeze because we haven't seen another Mr. Freeze ever since Batman Robin, and Arnold's performance was really over the top, and it didn't really work for me. But I feel like Mr. Freeze is a character that's super intelligent that will work extremely well with the Robert Pattinson's universe, especially his motivation to save his wife Nora will be a very great fit to the Robert Pattinson universe. So it's more of a darker tone of a Batman universe. I think Mr. Freeze will be a great element to the series. Another character I want to see is as a villain, the Corner Owls, considering how mysterious they are uh, as villains, leader of talent. I think that will work extremely well. How about you?
Um, I think Mr. Freeze would be interesting. Um, the I'm not sure how well they kind of did that with the Riddler, even though the Riddler was kind of a grounded character anyway. It's like how they could ground Freeze where he's not like that Arnold Schwarzenegger type,
Yeah,
um, and freeze a whole city. I don't think they can do something like that. They might be able to freeze water mains or something, figure something out. Um, but I think that would be interesting because I think Mr. Freeze has probably the most dramatic story
yeah,
of a lot of the villains. So I think doing one with him could be interesting, and for a good movie for really good story development.
yeah.
Um, um, I'm sure Clayface is probably not a plausibility.
Clayface. I think Mary's going for more
Oh yeah,
realisticness, so I don't think Clayface will work. I think it's gonna be more like
I think if
street
they
level villains, like the Riddler that we've seen in the movie.
I think if they do like a Clayface, it might be more like a guy in a ghillie suit
Yeah.
uh, that's all muddy. That's just kind of doing things secretly or something. But I don't know. Um, I'm not as familiar with the Batman stuff. I'm sure they can do something with Ra's al Ghul, um, possibly, um, but I'm sure they would go more of a route that we haven't seen in the movies.
Yeah.
So I I would love to see Man Bat, but again, I don't think that that
Yeah.
would be a plausibility either. But that would just be interesting. Um, that would be actually super interesting. I would like to see how they would do something like that um, in this universe, especially as a detective story. And like, there's a big bats coming somewhere, so now people think it's Batman killing people, and he's leaving like animal clues. But probably not a possibility unless it's like a side show on HBO Max or something.
Yeah.
But um,
I really hope they introduce Dick Grayson as maybe Robin or later on making Nightwing. I think that'd be really cool.
yeah, I think that'd be cool to introduce, him as Robin or any of the 20 million Robins there were. Um, not just have him his real name be Robin. Uh,
Yeah, like
like in
like
Dark
the
Knight
Dark Knight
Rises.
Rises.
I
Yeah.
like your real name. Your first Robin. Oh, okay. So he was Robin the whole time.
Then why not make him drop in the first place?
Yeah. Well,
At least in
yeah,
the second movie.
yeah. Well, yeah, because they try to hide a few things because they didn't give him a name of somebody that was Robin, so people want to figure it out. But I think if he was like named that, you could have realistically thought, okay, this is Robin. He is kind of like Batman's um sidekick
Yeah.
in the movie. So he could have been just Robin the whole time without being in the suit because
Yeah.
just be the cop. But
But
they wanted that shock of saying, "Oh, he's Robin," because his name is Robin.
but
And I
I feel
think
like Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be a great Robin, though,
no, I
in the
think I think
suit.
he would make a. I was kind of hoping like after seeing that after him finding the Batcave that okay, so now this is going to go into like a Nightwing series where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Nightwing now um, on his own doing Batman stuff. So but we didn't get that. DC decided to reset everything, and then now they're resetting. I don't know if anybody knows what DC is really doing, because now you got like 2 Batmans going on at the same time, 3 Jokers. No one knows what's going on. But I like some of the approaches that they're doing with their movies. It's not in the same vein as Marvel, which I'm okay with. Um, that they need to kind of do their own thing, have a DC cinematic universe, but not don't try to copy Marvel. I think that's kind of what they were trying to do to cut to the chase to get to Justice League, and it didn't work out. So now they're trying to keep one universe and then do all these other multiple universes, which is going to be interesting for the next Flash movie because you're going to have multiple Flashes in it. You're going to have Michael Keaton Batman in it, so it's that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. They gotta nail the Flash movie 100%, though. If the Flash movie flops, I'm losing all hope.
Yeah. Well, after Flash, you had because the last DC movie of the year is Aquaman, so they've already proven that Aquaman's gonna, the first one I enjoyed. It's a James Wan movie, which when you're talking about Saw, he created Saw, so and he directed Aquaman and one of the Fast and Furious movies also. But um, yeah, so that's Black Adam's coming out this year too.
Yeah.
So with The Rock, so that's going to be interesting. I think DC needs all of these to be kind of home runs because they're. I think they're starting to get back now with the Snyder cut of Justice League, with Peacemaker series, the Suicide Squad did so well that they're kind of getting their foot on the ground on how they need to approach and how they can just be different than Marvel, and people are going to enjoy it. I think the Batman is going to, it's already getting really good reviews. It's going to be big. Um, and DC needs to know that their movies aren't going to do as well in the box office as the MCU. Um, but I think in the secondary market, like,
I
video on
think Warner
demand.
Bros. Need to give the directors more freedom for their
Mhm.
projects, because it clearly shows when the director wants to do what they want, they could craft such a great DC project. You see what James Gunn is doing, you just see what Matt Reeves just did, and you saw what the director for the Joker did. Um, that's my
But the
opinion.
one thing that they have in common is, well, I guess the Suicide Squad is kinda different because it's kind of in the DC universe, but not DCEU universe. Um, but those movies are kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what DC needs to do is just not have a shared universe and just kind of do these projects based off superheroes and have people that love these IPs and really work their hand in it. Because you saw with the Star Wars sequels, they didn't do so well. Um, well, they had kind of like a DC problem where they didn't know what they wanted to do, but they also gave the directors more freedom of what they wanted rather than plan something out. So with Star Wars, they needed more of a plan for the sequel series rather than just one movie and then figure it out later. Um, that's kind of like what DC has done with the universe. But
But the thing about DC is their solo projects are really good. The only projects that seem a little off in the beginning were their team up projects, such as Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad. The 2016 version were awful, and the Justice League version 2017 was really bad too. But later on, they worked on team up movies. They made the Zack Snyder Justice League and the Suicide Squad with James Gunn directing. Minko's movies are fantastic. So it's an interesting that thought about in my mind.
yeah, well, I'm kind of different too. Where Batman versus Superman wasn't great. Like it was long for no reason, um, but it wasn't horrible, in my opinion. I just thought, oh, sorry. The only reason they did that was just to cut to the chase to a Justice League movie, and it was probably not the way they needed to do it. That probably needed to just be a Batman movie,
Yeah,
and then you can do a Batman versus Superman after that. Let's introduce Batman and do something with it. But they just kind of just
fumble the bag.
they were like, oh crap, Marvel's already because by the time Batman versus Superman came out,
2016 was a weird year. Wasn't that year for like had the worstest thing going on? Batman versus Superman. Then you had like Team Cap versus Team Iron Man the same year,
I think so.
and
Yeah,
then never mind. Yeah,
was it 2016?
I think it was 2016. I'm gonna
Yes,
look
yeah, it
it
was
up.
2006, yeah, it was
Yeah,
2016.
yeah.
So by the time that came out, there was already 2 Avengers movies and a million Marvel movies, and all they had was, uh, Man of Steel. So they I think they just jumped the gun on everything, wanting to compete with Marvel to make a whole lot of money. It didn't really work well, I'm sure they made a whole lot of money, but it just didn't work out the way they planned, and I think they should have just slowed it down and did those independent projects first and then see if they came together. So, um, but just yeah. Um, do you have anything else you wanna talk about with the Batman or DC or Marvel or movies in general, or just talk about what you are planning on doing when it with your TikTok or your Instagram?
Um, one more thing for Batman. The trap that really terrified me was the rat trap. with the rat poisoning. I think that was the second victim of the Riddlers. I think that was a really cool trap.
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to figure out, like, what it did, because I know that they injected the rat poison in him, but, like, did the rats, like, eat his face? They really didn't show anything. So, I
Maybe the rats ate his face, but they couldn't really show it because it's
yeah,
PG-13. Yeah.
but that yeah, that's when I was like, "Oh, this is kinda like Saw," but he had no way out of it, except for, Coulson did, because he had to do the 3 riddles, and then
Yeah,
he'd give him the
true.
combination, but then
Bro, I don't know why Coulson didn't say the rat, bro. It's such a dumb decision.
well, he explained that, you know, if he said who the rat was and he survived, since Falcone was the rat and he was the most powerful person in Gotham, that he would have him killed, his wife killed, his kids killed.
Oh, that's
If
true.
he
True.
if he
Yeah.
didn't give it up, then it would just been him dying.
Yeah.
So he'd rather sacrifice himself so his family can survive.
Yeah. You know what was a cool scene when Selena and Kyle's back killed that person in the rooftop with Jim Gordon and
Oh, yeah.
Batman. Yeah, I think that was a really cool scene where Robert Pattinson's Batman stopped Selena from killing that person because it needed him to solve the final Riddler and finally stop the Riddler. I think that was a very powerful scene inside the movie.
Yeah,
That represents Batman's no killing rule.
yeah, he
Excellent.
has that no killing rule, and he wanted her to make sure that she's not gonna do any of that while he's around.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a different dynamic, you know, she was okay with killing, he wasn't, which I think is similar to the Christian Bale and, the Dark Knight Rises, one where they I think were similar. I don't know if she killed anybody or not, but she was more willing to do bad stuff, um, than Batman. But with this Selena Kyle and Batman, you know, just the chemistry alone kinda helped where, you know, she respects him, he respects her, but they just don't
Yeah, that
see
was
that
something
eye to eye.
different.
Yeah,
Normally, Catwoman backstabs Batman all
yeah,
the time, but inside this movie, she never did. She was by the side of Batman throughout the full runtime,
yeah,
which was something different and unique. And then you see their relation just grow from the beginning to the movie to the end of the movie really well.
yeah. Alright, so we are going on, like, over 45 minutes now, which is
Yeah, 4 or 5
pretty awesome. Yeah, yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
So, uh, thank you, because this is
Yeah,
my
no worries,
my
man.
first one, and first time I've hosted one too, so it was fun. I'm gonna do more of these,
All
so the
right.
people that are watching on my channel, there's gonna be more movie talk, talking about other movies with other guests, by myself. Um, it's gonna be fun, what the future of Baker Rangers hold, and the future of the Balaller, the cinematic King Balaller, also known as NBA, or what was it?
Game below
King
NBA.
NBA Balaller, um, AKA King Balaller 22 on Instagram. So, um, let us know what you like, what things you're working on, where we can find you. I know I probably already said that, but where we can find you and what you're about.
So I'm about really spreading positivity. I just post videos on TikTok. I have 2 accounts, one for NBA videos and one for more movie stuff. And I'm just really passionate about those things, and I just talk about it. And I'm working on some projects I can't really talk about yet, but you'll know when they're released.
Yes, he's working some great stuff that, if you, check him out on TikTok, you'll see him again on TikTok. His, main account is the Cinematic King Balaller. He does movie reviews, and talks about actors and actresses, giving, histories on them, and, got a lot of good content. You guys need to check him out if you haven't already. And he loves the NBA, so if you're a big NBA fan, he probably knows more about the NBA than you do. Um, so check him out on TikTok there as the King NBA Baller.
Yeah.
I should have, yeah, I should have links to his TikToks in the description. So again, check him out. Thank you again for
And no
coming
worries,
on
man. Have
to
fun.
my very first hosted um, video. So it was fun, and I'm hoping you can be a guest again
All right, sounds good.
when we talk movies.
All right, sounds good,
So
man.
thank you very much. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see more of this later. This has been from Baker Rangers, and I'm partnering with Zeo to Hero Podcast to bring you awesome and amazing content. So look out for that on the Baker Rangers YouTube page and ZeoToHero.com.